The warrant was just unsealed. Trump's warrant was unsealed, and I want to go over the actual documents. So what we're looking at right here is the motion to unseal the warrant. This is the government's motion to unseal the warrant. On August 8th, 2022, the Department of Justice executed a search warrant. At the time the warrant was initially executed, the department provided notice directly to former President Trump's counsel. They told his lawyers. The department did not make any public statements about the search, and that's key. The department did not make any public statements about the search because people are saying they're trying to politicize it. And wait a minute, they didn't even reveal the information. Trump revealed the information. So that's one of the things I had to mention earlier to somebody as to how can they be politicizing this, and they're not the ones that reveal the information. And the search apparently attracted little or no public attention as it was taking place. Later that same day, former President Trump issued a public statement acknowledging the execution of the warrant. And you see, that's what it is. So if anybody can be accused of politicizing this, it's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been spending months, years, claiming to be a victim, claiming to be persecuted. Just this last weekend, he says, I'm the most persecuted man in American history. And so this is right up his aisle, where he can spin this to pretend that, oh, woe is me. In the days since, the search warrant and related materials have been the subject of significant interest and attention from news media, organizations, and other entities. And by the way, a bunch of news media has filed motions to get information on this. So they're actually part of the docket sheet. In these circumstances involving a search of a residence of a former president, the government hereby requests that the court unseal the notice of filing and its attachment, docket entry 17, absent objection from President Trump. So unless Trump objects, we want it unsealed, because he's the one that is publicizing this, and now it's a big deal. Everybody's talking about it, and so the government says if he's not opposed to it, we want it unsealed. Search warrant signed and approved by the court on August 5th, including attachments A and B, and the redacted property receipt listing items seized pursuant to the search filed with the court on August 11th, 2022. So you see, after they did the search, they provided the information to the court of what was seized. They're moving to have that unsealed as well. The government will respond to the direction of the court to provide further briefing as to additional entries on the docket. Consistent with standard practice in this court, the search warrant and attachments were each filed under seal prior to the search. The property receipt was filed under seal today. Former President Trump, through counsel, was provided copies of each of these documents on August 8th as part of the execution of the search. So there was claims that they didn't even get the paperwork, that those claims were untrue. They received the paperwork. The press and the public enjoy a qualified right of access to criminal and judicial proceedings and judicial records filed therein. The unsealing of judicial materials pursuant to the common law right of access requires a balancing of competing interests. And by the way, this whole thing is why I have an interest in the case, because our ability as the public to see what the government is doing, I think, is key. And that's why that's why it's an issue if Trump has government documents, because he's depriving the public of having access to those documents. In balancing the public interest in accessing court documents against the party's interest in keeping the information confidential, courts consider, among other factors, whether allowing access would impair court functions or harm legitimate privacy interests, the degree of and likelihood of injury if made public, the reliability of the information, and whether there will be an opportunity to respond to the information. Whether the information concerns public officials or public concerns, and the availability of a less onerous alternative to sealing the documents. Given the intense public interest presented by a search of a residence of a former president, the government believes these factors favor unsealing the search warrant, its accompanying attachments A and B, and the property receipt, absent objection from the former president. Although the government initially asked, and the court agreed, to file the warrant attachments A and B under seal, releasing those documents at this time would not impair court functions, including the government's ability to execute the warrant, given that the warrant has already been executed. Furthermore, on the day that the search was executed, former President Trump issued a public statement that provided the first public confirmation that the search had occurred. Subsequently, the former president's representatives had given additional statements to the press concerning the search, including public characterizations of the material sought. Christina Bobb, a lawyer and aide to Mr. Trump, who said she received a copy of the search warrant, told one interviewer that the agents were looking for presidential records or any possibly classified material. As such, the occurrence of the search and indications of the subject matter involved are already public. The matter plainly concerns public officials or public concerns, as it involves law enforcement action taken at the property of the 45th President of the United States. The public's clear and powerful interest in understanding what occurred under these circumstances weighs heavily in favor of unsealing. That said, the former president should have an opportunity to respond to this motion and lodge objections, including with regards to any legitimate privacy interests or the potential for other injury if these materials are made public. To that end, the government will furnish counsel for the former president with a copy of this motion. Conclusion: the court should unseal docket entry 17, subject to the presentation of countervailing interest by former President Trump. A proposed order is attached herein. And so this is from Juan Gonzalez, United States Attorney. And the proposed order is the United States of America, having applied to this court for an order to unseal limited warrant materials filed on August 11th, and being fully advised, is ordered that the motion to unseal is granted. Document entry 17 and its attachment are hereby unsealed. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the actual warrant. Okay, so here we go. We're going to take a look at the actual search warrant. And this is the search warrant as it was returned, after it was returned to the court executed. The United States hereby gives notice that it's filing the following document, which is a redacted version of material previously filed in this case number under seal. The search warrant, not including the affidavit, signed and approved by the court on August 5th, 2022, including attachments A and B. So last Friday, this was filed. The property receipt listing items seized pursuant to search filed with the court on August 11th, 2022. So after they took what they took, all of this stuff is inside these documents. Here we have the search warrant, search and seizure warrant, an application by federal law enforcement officer or an attorney for the government requests the search of the following person or property located in the Southern District of Florida. See attachment A. Attachment A. The premises to be searched, 1100 Ocean Boulevard, is further described as a resort, a club, and residence located near the intersection of Southern Boulevard and South Ocean Boulevard. It is described as a mansion with approximately 58 bedrooms, 33 bathrooms on a 17-acre estate. The locations to be searched include the 45 office, all storage rooms, and all other rooms or areas within the premises used or available to be used by F. POTUS and his staff, and in which boxes or documents could be stored, including all structures or buildings on the estate. It does not include areas currently, i.e. at the time of the search, being occupied, rented, or used by third parties, such as Mar-a-Lago members, and not otherwise used or available to be used by F. POTUS and his staff, such as private guest suites. So there's a specific area that they're allowed to search and that they're applying for the search for. I find that the affidavit or any recorded testimony established probable cause to search and seize the person or property described above, and that such search will reveal, see attachment B, all physical documents and records constituting evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of 18 U.S.C. 793, 2771, or 1519, including the following: any physical documents with classification markings, along with containers, boxes in which such documents are located, as well as any other containers, boxes that are collectively stored or found together with the aforementioned documents and containers, boxes. Information, including communications in any form regarding the retrieval, storage, or transmission of national defense information or classified material. C. Any government and or presidential records created between January 20th, 2017 and January 20th, 2021. Or D. Any evidence of the knowing alteration, destruction, or concealment of any government and or presidential records or of any documents with classification markings. You are commanded to execute this warrant on or before August 19th, not to exceed 14 days. So they had a time period in which to execute it. In the daytime, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Unless delayed notice is authorized below, you must give a copy of the warrant and a receipt for the property taken to the person from whom or from whose premises the property was taken, or leave the copy and receipt at the place where the property was taken. So they have to leave. This had to be left with the with somebody on at the premises. The officer executing this warrant or an officer present during the execution of the warrant must prepare an inventory as required by law and promptly return this warrant and inventory to the duty magistrate. So he has to return it to the judge. So that's one of the things I think is very important, how much procedure was followed here. Now, maybe like up until this point, procedures are being followed. Procedures appear to be being followed. And that's not even any of the claims. They're just mad that this happened. But if we're going by the law, it doesn't matter who you are. You may not like it. It may be unprecedented. But if procedures are followed, if the law is adhered to, if process is due, if due process is adhered to, there's nothing to talk about. Pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 3103B, if I find the immediate notification may have an adverse result listed in, except for delay of trial, and authorize the officer to delay notice to the person, property that will be searched or seized. So this checkbox is not checked. This is not checked. So it doesn't seem like that. Yeah, and like they said, they told the council and let the president know what was happening. They let Trump know. So here we go. United States Department of Justice, receipt for property. Items listed below were collected. 4 documents. 29 box labeled A1, A14, A14, 30 box labeled A26, 31 box labeled A43, 32 box labeled A13, 33 box labeled A33. Received by Christina Bob, attorney, 6:19 p.m. at 8/8/22. Okay, so this would be the agent's signature. Received from this agent, and this is that agent. So what's special agent? Receipt for property. Items were collected. Executive 1, executive grant of clemency, R.E. Roger Jason Stone Jr. 1A, info, R.E. President of France. 2, leather brown box of documents. 2A, various classified top secret SCI documents. 3, potential presidential record. 5, binder of photos. 6, binder of photos. 7, handwritten note. 8, box labeled A1. 9, box labeled A12. 10, box labeled A15. 10A, miscellaneous secret documents. 11, box labeled A16. 11A, miscellaneous top secret documents. 12, box labeled A17. 13, box labeled A18. 13A, miscellaneous top secret documents. 14, box labeled A27. 14A, miscellaneous confidential documents. Page 3 of the actual, in fact, they have it listed as page 2 of 2 since it's, but box labeled A28. 15A, miscellaneous secret documents. 16, box labeled A30. Box labeled A32. Box labeled A35. Box labeled A23. 19A, confidential document. 20, box labeled A22. Box labeled A24. Box labeled A34. Box labeled A39. 23A, miscellaneous secret documents. 24, box labeled A40. Box labeled A41. 25A, miscellaneous confidential documents. 26, box labeled A42. 26A, miscellaneous top secret documents. Box labeled A71. Box labeled A73. 28A, miscellaneous top secret documents. And that's the end of the receipt, the property receipt. So we have, there we go. We see exactly, well, we don't see exactly what's taken, but we see an inventory of what was taken. We don't know exactly what's written on the materials, but these are the stuff they found. So we have a search warrant that appears to have been legally and properly filed. We haven't seen the affidavit, but so far procedures have been filed. Due process has been adhered to as far as we can tell to this point. And the paperwork is filed, inventory is received, inventory is conducted, received, and copies of this paperwork was provided to Trump's attorneys. Trump's attorneys were on site. So there's ample evidence that the claims that the whining, the victim, oh, I'm so persecuted games that the right are playing right now are completely and totally unfounded, and they're just whining. They're trying to turn this into something that it's not. And quite frankly, this is an investigation. I really don't think that they're actually trying to charge him with the crime. They wanted these records back. From everything we've seen, they wanted these records back. They got these records back. This could be where it ends. But that remains to be seen. As always, thank you for checking out this episode. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And if you would like to check out some additional content, you can click on the screen now.